Hello, everyone. So, tonight, as promised, I am back with another live. Y'all know I don't really do lives that often, but I made a promise at the end of 2020 that I would do more lives, that I would be in front of the camera more. So, here I am. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to join. I'm going to go ahead and share this on my regular page while I'm just waiting for people to join. But tonight is the Inadequate in Purpose live question and answer. So hopefully you guys have prepared your questions. You've had a chance to listen to the Inadequate in Purpose EP. Tonight we're going to discuss the first track, which is Anger. So it's the first episode in the series, and we're really just going to dive into talking about that emotion, talking about the first track on the album. So after I kind of speak my piece on it, I'm going to open the floor to any questions. If you have questions about the first episode, anything that we discussed tonight, if you have things you just want to ask me about the EP at all, anything you want to ask me as an artist, I'm open. So I will be reading your questions after that. So let me go ahead and get this shared to my page, and then we'll discuss anger. Okay. So y'all still haven't figured this out. Somebody's gonna have to like type in the comments or teach me how to share from your artist page to just your regular page, because I never see the option. So we'll discuss that later on. So just in like the days leading up to this live, I just did some thinking. I wanted to take some notes. I went back and listened to the first episode myself, just as a consumer versus as the artist. And so I really analyzed what was being said, and also just some of the things that I could take away from that episode or from that first track. So, just going into it, just like the very opening of it, for me, in my personal opinion, anger came across just very dark. It's almost like you walked into a room with this person and like the door closed behind the both of y'all, and you were almost like just in this room with this person going through these series of emotions. It kind of it opens up basically saying, you know, like I'm just really trapped in my head. I can't get out. There's something in me that is really just tearing at the seams, is how it starts. And so you immediately know that something is going on with this person. I think you kind of figure out later on that it's anger as the poem continues on, but just initially, like, something has like broken loose or is getting ready to break loose. And so, what I like to do with my poetry really is give a visual. Even though it's spoken word, it's like I really write to the point that I want to paint a picture. So when you're listening to it, you can play it out in your mind, almost like it's a movie. And so, just approaching tonight and approaching these next couple of lives, the idea behind it was is that I wanted to do an EP breakdown, and I really wanted to just discuss not only the EP and the poetry, but also discuss the emotions, the different emotions that I outlined. Like I said on my previous live, prior to the project dropping, is that I did a play on the five stages of grief. So I really wanted to touch base on each one of those things in the series of lives, and really just cover those items, really just have people tune in and also comment and speak their piece about it, so that we can get to a point where we get free from these things. Because a lot of these emotions people live them, feel them day in and day out, and they are suffering from them right now, never really getting free from them. I know a lot of times, especially with dealing with anger and with depression, people tend to internalize things and kind of just sweep it under the rug with band-aid of I'm okay when they're really not. So a lot of things are just being suppressed. And I feel like we really need to get to a place where we get free from those things. So in speaking about anger or either just doing my homework to get ready for this live, I approached it almost like if you were writing a paper. So I said, let's go to the dictionary and see what the dictionary says anger is. So basically, it says a strong feeling of displeasure, also known as wrath or rage. It is an intense emotional state involving a strong, uncomfortable, like feeling or hurt or just perceiving almost like being provoked. So we already know that anger is a very major emotion. And depending on how you deal with anger, um, it really can put you in some places that probably are far more worse than you just feeling the emotion. So after just looking up anger and just seeing what the dictionary says anger is, I think we all for ourselves know, like, have our own definition of what anger is, defined on how we feel it, how we deal with it, how we express it. I also wanted to go to the word and I wanted to see what the Bible had to say about anger. And so there were several scriptures, but I took down just two of them. So the first one comes from Ephesians 4:26. It says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath." And so I read that and then I thought back to the project itself. And so there is a part in the project. It's not on the first one. It's in Voice of God where I said be angry, but don't let your anger like linger onto the next day. And so when I was kind of just reflecting on my notes today, God gave me two really good points on anger. So the first thing that he talked about was really like getting free from being angry. Um and just the emotion anger itself. Um I love the fact that it says be angry because God created us to have all of these emotions. So being angry is not necessarily a bad thing. But the follow up, to not sin, that really is based on how you deal with the anger. Because I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we were basically talking about, going through bad situations, being angry at other people, but then our reactions to it. And basically, he was saying, like, you're always gonna, or either you always want to think about the consequences if you decide to react out of anger. And it's like a lot of times it'll keep you from doing, certain things because you don't want the negative end results. It's like I might feel like so and so hurt me so bad that I want them to feel the same way that I feel. I want to, evoke like some type of pain on them. But then you think about if I go and do this, how is that going to affect my life? Because it not only affects you and the other person, but then it affects everything else around you. So then you have to think, how is it going to affect my family? If you have children, how is it going to affect them? So, one of the things that God gave me earlier as far as anger is basically submitting. It's like we want to submit those emotions and that pain that we feel, and we want to be very honest and very open. We know that God knows all and sees all, but like I said before in some of my blogs, like God really wants to hear from us. And so us talking to him about this anger and getting free from it really, really, really like determines what your next step is, what your next action is. Also that holding on to that anger it holds up like your healing. So it's like the longer that you're angry, basically saying, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. The longer that you hold on to that anger, the longer that you prolong your healing. So it's like, of course, most people, they're not angry just one day and then the next day they wake up like, I'm good now, that's in the past. Sometimes it takes some of us a little longer to get over things. But I believe the reason why God is asking us to feel that emotion, honor what you feel, but don't react in such a way that's going to harm you, get past that, is because of the other things that we hold up when we're holding on to being angry. So we're prolonging our healing. And I feel as if when you prolong your healing, you're prolonging so many other things that you could be doing. Because think about what a person can do when they're healed versus what a person can do when they're hurting. A lot of times when you're angry and you're in pain and you're feeling these feelings of depression and you're turning inwards, you're not as active or proactive. A lot of people, when they're experiencing hurt and anger, they do kind of throw themselves into their work, but it's not top level, it's not done in excellence because of the mind frame and the state that they're in. So think about how much that you release when you let go of that negative emotion. Think of the things that you could be doing, you know, in such a better state of mind. Um, when you've come to a place of being healed and you've let go of those negative emotions, um, you feel better. You feel lighter. You have more of a will to want to be more productive. Um, you know, I feel as if you start to see the fruit of your labor. Blessings flow more freely. Not saying that you won't be blessed because you're angry, but what you give your attention to at that point in time may not be the ways in which God is working in your life because you're stuck in being angry. And one of my hashtags for tonight was like get free and live abundantly. And a lot of us are like holding on to some anger and some hurt that has been lingering for years. It's like how many, suns and moons have like gone down and risen on your anger, just prolonging and holding on to that distress. So I really feel like that point in itself is just so important. Like I've had a chance to talk to a few people in the midst of creating that EP when I was going through and I was angry and I was hurt and holding on to things, and being able to talk to them on this side of it where I'm free and I'm healed and I'm able to talk about it and not feel some type of way about what brought me to write the EP. And a lot of people are just holding on to some past hurts that they have been dealing with since they were children, and these people are well into their 30s or older. And so we have to get to a place where we are okay with not getting apologies that we may still be looking from people and situations that we've gone through. We have to get to a point where we're okay with addressing what happened, being healed from that, and wishing other people well. We really want to get to a place where, let's just say, the person that hurt you, or the job that didn't work out, or the no's that you received, if in some capacity you could see that person being hurt or, you know, being in a negative situation, we have to get to a place where we're not gloating about their hurt, because that means that you're still stuck in that place of hurt, that you haven't had a chance to really deal with that situation and let it go, that you're not completely healed. Because being a Christian and being in Christ, like your first reaction to hearing about any negative news should be to pray for them and to really ask that God covers them during the tough time that they're going through the same way that He did for you. And so the second scripture was James chapter 1, verse 19, and it says, so then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. And man, with that one, that just kind of comes back to us not reacting out of anger. The second thing that God gave me when just studying and looking over my notes earlier was accountability. Having accountability for ourselves, true enough, in our actions, but also having accountability partners. Like, we need people on our team that are not afraid to correct us when we are wrong in love. Not just coming down on us, but having the ability to correct you when you're wrong, but also you being open to go to those people to discuss these matters of you being angry. Um, what I will say, when people come into your life and you may feel as if they may be accountability partners, and you may feel as if they may be safe spaces, to pray on that and to ensure that that is their role and that's what God has placed them into your lives for, and lean on those people. God sent them for a reason. So accountability partners is major. It's like when you sat down and had to talk with yourself, and you've had to talk with God, and you still mad, and you still ready to go and mess some stuff up because you've taken on and internalized all of this hurt. Reach out to those people. The second half of that is, if we're gonna be people accountability partners, we have to really hold those people accountable, but also be willing to do the work. Um, I feel as if a lot of times, and I said this in the first episode, I said I reach out and I met with just pray the pain away. I feel like sometimes we do that to people and it's almost like a band aid. It's temporary. Nothing is wrong with prayer. Prayer is so important and vital. But our responses to people just telling them to just pray it away, or, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you, I'm going to pray for you. We have to get more in depth. We have to stop right then and there, if we can, and pray with that person. Be willing to be a listening ear. Be willing to be a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes people just need to be heard. And don't get me wrong, I know that that's not everybody's role. Not everyone has the capacity to even do that. But those of us that have the capacity to truly listen to people, to truly be a shoulder to cry on, to truly intercede in the time of need, like, okay, we gonna stop right now. Do you mind if I pray for you? Whether you're with them or if it's over the phone, like, we have to be more serious about caring about people and caring about just caring about the people of God, whether if they're believers or not, they still belong to Him. And we have been called to love on and to love them. And a lot of times that's doing the hard work. A lot of times to you that may look like long suffering, because that person may call you a lot about just things that they're going through. And they'll come to a point where they come more self sufficient, and you'll come to a point where you know where you need to step in and go the extra mile, where you simply might just need to say a prayer for them and leave it at that. Um, so those were the two scriptures that I looked up, and the piece that I basically had to speak on that. Um, as far as anger, that writing that poem in that moment, if I can just think back to it, I don't think I was angry at the moment when I wrote it. I think I was in a space of like I wanted to be really creative. But I had to pull from a place of when I was angry. And so my hope was for that piece, because when I first listened to it, I was in the studio and I was like, man, I hope nobody listens to this and then they fall into like an emotion of being angry or being depressed. My prayer was just that it'll come across as a point of like I can truly relate to what it is that she's saying. Like I can feel the emotion, but I don't feel the emotion to the point where now all of a sudden I'm angry. So that was my hope and my prayer for that. I've had some feedback and people have basically said like, man, I really was able to get into that moment, but they didn't walk away feeling like mad after listening to it. So I thank God for it because that's exactly what I was trying to do with it. So that's what I have to say about the piece so far. I'm gonna check just to see if I have any questions at this time, any comments about the first episode or either what we discussed about anger tonight. Yeah, okay. So we don't have any questions so far. I do want to thank everyone who has joined the live tonight, though. I want to thank you guys for hopping on to discuss the first episode or either the first track of Inadequate in Purpose. What I will say is if you have not had a chance to listen to the EP yet, it is available on all digital platforms. So anywhere that you buy your music from, that you stream it from, that you just like to sit and vibe out to, like I like to do, it is available there. And if you want to reach out after this live with any questions or comments, you can reach me, rapturatedproductions.com, also Poetic Goddess on Facebook, as well as Instagram. All right, y'all. I was just checking again to see if there are any questions.
You definitely have a question.
I can't see them.
Jeremy Duncan asks, this poem has a video, correct?
This poem does have a video. Um, we premiered the video last year. I will be sharing the video again. So, and I will be sure to, I'm going to repost it tomorrow. So that way, if you guys haven't had a chance to see it, there is a visual to anger. I'm sorry, y'all, because my question's not showing up on my phone. So,
That's the one you got so far. We can definitely premiere that video. That's
also, like I said, if you haven't had a chance to listen to the EP, there is a link in the comments as well that'll take you to the EP, and you can go there and download it and listen to it.
Next question is from you and Nether.
Okay.
It says,
Hi, you.
what motivated you to do this album?
Oh, I knew somebody was gonna ask that question. So, motivation. God motivated me to do the album because I really did not plan on doing an album from that perspective. Honestly, this was birthed out of me just writing. I had a season of my life that like started in 2019 and just kind of expanded on out to 2020. And man, I just was dealing with a lot of things at one time. I was taking a lot of losses. And so basically what I was doing was trying to find ways to write about what I was going through and distract myself, so to speak. So I kind of had my week lined up. Like I had things to do every night of the week. Like Monday, I had women's group. Tuesdays, I had Kingdom Billionaires Club. Wednesdays, I had Bible study. Thursdays, I had something else going on. It's like every day of the week, I had something to do. Combine that with work, church again on Sunday. I was teaching the youth Bible study on Sundays as well. So it's like I had all of these things going on, and I was writing about just what I was going through at the time as well, um, in a way of trying to distract myself. And ultimately, it worked in a way because it made for a really good EP. But also, like I talked about earlier, it really did prolong the healing because I didn't want to face it head on, and I still came like full circle. It still had to. So the motivation really was life and God telling me like you have to put this out. Because at the end of the day, I was like, okay, maybe I need to scrap it, and he was like, no. So when God speaks, that's what it is.
Next question from Jeremy Duncan. How do you feel after dropping this project?
That's how I feel. It's just like I can breathe now. Man, I feel good. I feel free. Um, I feel healed. I feel grown. And I say that because, oh man, just through creating and then releasing this EP, I can see the growth spiritually. Um, and also just in me being a person, but also more so spiritually though. Like God has opened my eyes to so many things, and I just love how when you figure out like it's for you, but it's not. It's like you went through this because you had to learn some things, but also it's not for you. So being able to have some other people come in and it's like, man, I'm dealing with such and such right now, and I just really need somebody to talk to, and being able to pull from a place of experience where you're no longer hurt from, and offering them sound advice and telling them about how God did it for you and what He did for you. It's just amazing to summarize how I feel. It's amazing. It really is.
Another question. I'm trying to go in order.
Okay.
The next question was from you, another. He says, "What was your first thought after you heard it?"
After I heard just the first, just the first episode, or the entire project.
I believe you're saying the project as well.
So my first thought after I heard it, seriously, I sat back and I was like, wow. And not in a prideful type way, but I said wow because I was like, I really wrote that. Like I had a moment of like, man, I really wrote that. And so my just the first thought was just wow. It kind of took me back to some places, and I was like, okay, but not in a negative way. It just showed me like the comparison of where I was then in the writing process and like where I am now. But just initially, I was just like, wow, I really wrote it. Yes, I'm ready for my next question. Thank you.
This is a really good one.
Okay.
Oh, the next two about to be really good ones.
Okay.
This one is also from you. You, a matter of fact,
Yule with the questions. I just need a shirt that say Yule with the questions, but he have to wear it though.
Okay. So his next one is, what did you learn about yourself after this project? And actually, the question that comes behind this one is gonna be really. They probably should tie in together. Go ahead.
Okay. So what did I learn about myself? What did I? So one of the things that I learned is that I do not like to face things head on always, especially when it's dealing with hurt. So like I explained before, I really was trying to avoid. And what I also learned is that I am a lot stronger than what I give myself credit for. Um and just thinking about, the things that transpired and that I went through, I'm a lot stronger than what I think. And like I said on acceptance, I'm doper than what I let on. Like I really am. And there's no conceit, but just listening to it, I feel like I'm dope.
Your next question. After writing the poem Anger, this is from Sheikah.
Okay.
Sheikah Creighton.
Hey, Sheikah.
After writing the poem Anger, how do you deal with anger now? Has that process changed since the release of the poem?
um. So how do I deal with anger now? What I will say is, I want to say it's not as different. I am still working through that because I'm just one of those people where I really do internalize things. I overthink things. I will analyze something to death. So I've never really been the type to, as soon as something makes me mad, like I'm lashing out as soon as it happens. I'm really like just sitting on it, which in a lot of ways is not good. But what's been added to my space is accountability. So I have the opportunity to really go and talk things out with people. Um, During that season leading up to now, God has really put some people in my life that I consider to be safe spaces. I have some Jonathans and I have some Roots, and I thank God for it. So in that way, I deal with anger different because I'm gonna go talk these things through with somebody versus just trying to sit there and constantly have the conversation with myself, or either going off to do something really crazy.
Next question. Again from you, Anetta.
Of course.
It's a really good question, though.
I know it is. You ask really good questions.
What advice do you have to poets who want to do an album?
Um, that is a really good one. So, with this being my first like album as a poet, um, the advice that I do have is to really listen to like yourself. And when I say that, I mean like after you've recorded, really go and listen to it, not nitpick it to the point that you feel like I'm just not gonna put it out. Because I had those days where I was like, with just one track, I was like, okay, I don't like the way this sound. I'm not about to put it out. And 50 other people in the room was like, it sounds amazing. But what I will say is really listen to yourself, listen to your highs and your lows. Like if you're really afflicting emotion where you're putting emphasis at. And what I also will say is don't rush it. Um, and take the time to find really good tracks if you decide to go that route where you want to add music. Initially I wasn't going to, and I think the music kind of solidified everything. It just kind of brought it all together. My biggest worry with this was I was like, it's poetry, it's not rap. Are people gonna really want to sit there and listen to me talk for however long? And I feel as if yes, even without the background music, I feel like yes, because what I had to say was far more important and effective than the music that played behind me. Um, so just make sure that what you have to say and your voice is ruling the track, and that the beat or the track behind you is not overpowering what you have to say.
Next question. Yeah. um, this is from our brother DJ Orlando Page.
What's up, Orlando?
Being the only poet on a label full of music artists, how easy or hard was it to market you and your talents? Tell the truth, Shayna Devil.
Man,
That's a really good question.
I really feel like that's probably not even a question for me because I don't really have to do the marketing, but I do play a part in it. I have learned that I want to be hands on with my projects and my poetry. I feel like it's harder. And the reason why I say that is because it's not rap. You know, it's not singing, even though there was a little singing on there. Shout out to Shika. I appreciate you so much for that feature. But it's harder because we have CHH, which is the banner that we're under, but then it's almost like we threw a poet on the label and we almost kind of threw like a monkey wrench in there. So it's like the certain audience that we would market to, they might not necessarily listen to poetry, but we will still market it to them anyway because we don't know if they would or if they wouldn't. But we also at the same time have to find other avenues to market me that is more so like in the poetry world because I am a poet. So I would have to say it's harder. It makes us be more creative so that later on down the line when we add, you know, more poets, which we do have another poet on the label, TC Boy, but he raps as well. So I feel like it's harder, but it pulls on us to be creative as a label as well. Any more questions for the long time? Y'all really came with the questions tonight, but I should have known because when I did my very first live forever ago, y'all had a bunch of questions and some of them I just was like, but I appreciate it though because it gave me a chance to really evaluate myself as a new artist. So now, since I have been in the game for over a year now, I feel like I'm a little more prepped for these question and answers. But again, I just want to say I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate everybody that has purchased the EP so far, has streamed it, downloaded, shared it, got it for somebody for Christmas. I know somebody out there did. I really appreciate it. More than anything, I appreciate the support and I appreciate the people that reach out to me and ask me, when am I doing something else? A lot of people ask me, when is your album dropping? When is, you know, when are you doing something else? So I appreciate that because that let me know that people are looking forward to, you know, hearing from me and what I have to say and that also they are following what I'm doing. So I really appreciate that. I do not take it for granted. I don't take my writings or my talent for granted at all. Um, I have been working on some new things lately, so I'll be dropping just some poetry videos. But like I said, tomorrow I will go ahead and repost the first video, and that's for anger. Do we have any more questions? Any comments? Nope. Alrighty, well, since we don't have any more questions at this time, and how long we been on? 38 minutes. Praise God. All right, so since we don't have any more questions or any more comments, like I said, I just want to thank everybody for joining the live tonight. Hopefully, something was said tonight that you guys will just be able to chew on. That it'll make you kind of reevaluate yourself as far as how you deal with anger. In closing, I just want to say, don't forget to get together with your accountability partners. If you have some, if you don't, maybe the pastor of your church, pray about accountability partners. And really, y'all, in 2021, we want to do some new things. We want to get free from these things, especially those things that we've been holding on for years because we have businesses to start, we have books to write, we have music to put out there, poetry, and we want to do that from a whole place, being whole people. So again, I appreciate y'all and thank you. Y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all soon. We'll be doing episode 2, which is depression.